Don't leave me hanging. It's go time.
Hey everybody, this is Josh. Welcome to Game 1 in a best-of-3 series being played between perhaps the best StarCraft 2 player in the world. It is IM.MVP, making his way through the Code S ranks right now, as a matter of fact. He is the red Terran down in the bottom right corner of Tal'Darim Altar, and his opponent today is another Korean player. You probably won't be able to read that unless you can read Korean, but it is in fact Cella from Team SlayerS. He is one of the coaches there, formerly SlayerS. That's actually still how I remember him, just because it just is fun to say, SlayerS. But he is in fact SlayerS Cella. He's the blue Zerg up here in the top right, and I'm curious how this game is going to pan out. This is a best-of-5 series, I believe, being played between these two Korean masters of their respective races, so I can't wait to see what kind of things these guys end up coming up with. MVP, if you didn't know, actually was the winner of MLG Anaheim not too long ago. He didn't show up for MLG Raleigh, unfortunately. Hopefully we'll get to see him again in the United States somewhere, because I love being able to go to events and see these awesome Korean players. And MVP just on a super duper hot streak right now. In the GSL this season, he's already knocked off MC, Nesty, Polt, and EG Huck most recently. So I'm curious if he's going to be able to make it all the way in GSL August Code S, all the way to it would be a third championship of the GSL Code S if he does manage to do that. So this tournament actually is the GeForce StarCraft Pro-Am. There's a pro division and an amateur division, and these guys were both pros. They were both invited, I believe. They actually are playing for tons and tons of prize money. You'll have to check it out at geforce.com if you want to find more information. I'll try and put that link in the video description for the rest of the tournament. But yeah, these replays were published not too long ago, and I was very curious, so I figured if I'm going to be watching the replays anyway, might as well cast them. I do feel bad when I don't cast for a long time. I know that MLG Raleigh, I did publish a lot of videos, but I know not everyone is a big fan of the interviews and the behind-the-scenes kind of stuff. They come here just to see the StarCraft 2 cast, so let's see what these guys are going to be able to bring us. Looks like Cella did drop a hatch rate, a very normal time there, about 15, also about a 15 spawning pool there. One of the most standard Zerg versus Terran builds you'll find. Extractor coming up now means he will be able to start moving towards Speedlings eventually. It looks like MVP just now sending that scouting SCV up here to check things out in Cella's neck of the woods. He's going to actually skip right past that hatchery. No, he's going to double back, make sure to plant a bunker right next to it. And Cella, of course, can see this going on. If MVP were to drop a bunker right here, for example, Cella would not be able to see it unless he sent those drones or Overlord over there to find it. But the SCV, luckily for MVP, is tucked into the side here. Cella actually not even attacking with all three drones. It looks like this bunker actually is going to be able to get up. The SCV is in such good position here building this up. The drones are not even going to be able to attack the SCV, and already the first Marine is here. He just has to deftly maneuver through these drones, but no, Cella does get this around on the Marine trying to enter the bunker, so MVP is set back just a little bit. The Marine didn't get any kills, and now the first couple of Zerglings are out as well. Things are not going so well for MVP. Now one Marine does end up inside the bunker. He's going to be able to nab at least 2 kills here, and the SCV on the perfect bottom side of this bunker going to be able to repair it just fine while these drones all continuously claw at it. One SCV is taking some damage now from a single drone, but it looks like the Marine is focusing down the drone, hitting the SCV. Now a Queen finally pops out, does the larva inject, pops the SCV, and the bunker explodes. The Marine inside is gonna flee into the main. Wow, I almost didn't catch him. I almost thought for a second that he got killed as well, but it looks like Cella is gonna be able to repel this pretty easily now with these last couple of lings. Microwing that hurt one back is a very, very good move there by Cella. And all in all, looks like not too much damage was actually dealt. If we look at units lost, it looks like MVP only managed to kill 2 workers while Cella killed that SCV, so it's actually very, very even still. You can tell just by the supply counts up in the top, but of course that bought MVP time to get a factory out and a reactor up. So he is going to be able to churn out 2 Hellions at a time. There's already 2 on the way. It looks like they did manage to snag a Zergling kill there, and soon they will be inside the natural mineral line. 5 drones and 4 lings in production right now for Cella. He doesn't have much to ward this off except for those 2 queens, and they're so slow off the creep that the Hellions scoot right past, and now there are no spine crawlers and no queens here inside the main. Cella's going to pull all these drones. 2 Hellions might be able to snag quite a lot of drone kills here. They're going to drive around and actually dodge these queens as best they can. Driving off the creep is a great decision there. The drones and Zerglings are still chasing. That's a little bit surprising. He does manage to torch both of those lings and all 3 drones, and these friggin' Hellions are still alive. Cella looking in bad shape here. He does actually take out one of the Hellions, but not before losing one more Ling. Does he kill that second Hellion? Spinecrawler does finish up now, though, so the next two Hellions will have a little bit more difficult time taking out those drones. If you look at the units lost now, though, 7 workers killed for MVP, only 1, that original SCV, killed by Cella. So those Hellions, without even blue flames, just doing tons and tons of damage to this blue Zerg opponent here, Cella from Team SlayerS. Cella is going to send in a handful of Lings here to try and do some damage of his own. He is going to be met, oh, not with a wall-off. Actually, the wall-off was not complete there. The supply depots were down, so the Lings are going to get in here and try and kill off some SCVs. MVP, very, very quick reflexes there, just turning all of his SCVs onto attack move. It looks like maybe 2 SCVs were killed there. Oh, wow, actually more than that. Cella managed to finish off 5 more SCVs with that attack, so evening up the odds once again. Looks like Cella is ahead on supply, but he is minorly blocked until that Overlord just popped out. New round of Zerglings and another Overlord being produced here. Tank already coming out now for MVP. Swapped add-ons once again and added on 2 more barracks, so looks like Tank Marine is going to be the build order now that these Hellions are pretty much done. He can still use these, of course, to try and torch some drones in a moment, but these Lings are running around checking for God knows what. They're on attack move, looking for SCVs or something, perhaps. Looking at each Xel'Naga tower, just running by to see if they can find anything, but they're going to be far, far from home by the time these Hellions reach the natural of SlayerS Cella, excuse me. 4 Hellions rolling right in here. There's a lot of drones available for killing here, and it only takes a few jets from these Hellions to be able to kill off a drone. They are almost trapped by the 3 Queens, but man, all 4 Hellions still alive. Cella actually doing a little bit of a counterattack right now. We'll take a look at that in the picture-in-picture, but all these drones here are getting lined up for these 4 Hellions. Cella doing a good job trying to get those drones away, and the 4 Queens now chasing 4 Hellions is kind of ridiculous. New wave of Speedlings comes out now, and it looks like the Hellions are finally going to be cleaned up over in MVP's base. It looks like he has finally dealt with those Lings as well. So both players trading armies constantly already in this very short game so far. Just so many units killed already. 72 combined units between these two guys before the 10-minute mark actually killed off, but MVP starting to look like he's got a formidable army forming. He's got 3 siege tanks here and a very large amount of Marines, while Cella is stuck with only Speedlings still. He's adding on more extractors now. He's going to put up 2, 3, and 4 all at once. Rotorn has been completed, but he hasn't built any yet. If you look at that units tab, no roaches at all in there, and he's only barely ahead on drone count. Mule's going to make that negligible anyway, but Lair coming up here soon will be done, and Cella will be able to switch tech up a little bit, but MVP obviously massing up back at home quietly and contentedly. He's building a supply depot wall all the way down, a large hook around his natural expansion, so that Cella, if Cella does try to do a run by once again, he will have to deal with these 4 scattered siege tanks here and a handful of Marines. No stim pack just yet for the Marines, but that is on the way. 3 more Marines being produced at a time. The starport's going to be done in just a moment. If he starts cranking out medevacs from there, that is going to help him immensely, as Tank Marine medevac can be very, very difficult to deal with for a Zerg player who doesn't have Mutalisks out yet. The lair is going to be done in just a moment. The Baneling Nest also about to finish here. 8 drones in production. Once that lair finishes, the Spire is going to be started. It looks like that'll be over at the Natural somewhere. Where are you dropping that Spire at, Mr. Cella? Mr. SlayerS Cella? I don't actually see it anywhere. Is he hiding it, perhaps? Where's your Spire? Am I blind? I hate when this happens so much. Ah, there's the Spire off behind the mineral line. I hate when I cannot find a building, and I've just talked about it for a long time. It's just very, very annoying. But 14 more links coming out now. Baneling speed upgrade also in production. It looks like he will be able to start morphing some Banelings off to the side here if MVP doesn't scout it. But MVP's got plans of his own. He's got an Octo Drop. Credit to the gun run for that terminology. 8 Marines tucked inside of a medevac is an Octo Drop, according to my friend and roommate, the gun run, and he's going to drop all these guys off here. Take out a Queen pretty quickly unless any transfusions happen to show up. Yeah, Cella does drop the transfusion. 1 Marine bites the dust, but the medevac does escape with the rest of them intact. What is he going to do now? I'm not quite sure. We got a single Zergling here waiting to see if he goes to clear those destructible rocks over at the 3rd base location. That destructible rock does denote that this is the latter edition of Tal'Darim Altar, not the GSL former edition without any destructible rocks. It looks like SlayerS Cella is going to go for a little bit of a counterattack while all the tanks are away, but he's going to be met by a supply depot wall, and he's going to need these Lings up here. A lot of his supply is tied up in those Zerglings, and MVP just dropping scans on the high ground. He's got this medevac for spotting now. The Spinecrawler Spine doesn't stand much of a chance at all. SlayerS Cella trying to break through that supply depot wall, can't even do it because the SCVs are so quick and enough Marines are there to defend against it. MVP now making use of this medevac, dropping onto the high ground, the siege tanks on the low ground, blasting away at those drones. Here comes the Zergling and Baneling shredder that I love to talk about. Here comes so many Banelings. Wow, cleaning up all those tanks. He actually rolls past the tanks and gets a huge Baneling blast there in the back, but there are still so many standing forces here for MVP. He's still got units alive on the high ground, popping queens, popping drones, and you can see that supply difference now about 30 in favor of MVP. You never want to see that as a Zerg player. Never want your Terran opponent to have more supply than you, and they're on equal bases too. Cella just never had a chance to expand up at that third base because it's just been constant action here. Things are looking pretty grim for Cella. Not sure what he's going to be able to do here. Mutalisks are starting to pop out at least, so he might be able to get one of these medevacs down, but there's still a large amount of Marines that can pop these Mutalisks out of the sky. Banelings clear up the last of those Marines. Mutas are going to have free attacks on these siege tanks, and MVP's cleared out just a little bit, but now a huge new wave of Marines shows up. 17 Marines with another siege tank on the low ground. Actually, that one never got finished off. It only has 2 HP. Cella really wants to grab it, so he does, and heads back into his natural, but this is just a nightmare for Cella. Look how much siege tank range is still in range of those drones. All he has to do is plop a scan down, and that is a lot of dead drones, ladies and gentlemen. All these Marines on the low ground just assisting this tank, keeping those Mutalisks away until he can get some more medevacs. It looks like here comes another wave of units, a bunch more Marines, medevac, and tank in tow. And Cella still only able to afford Zerglings and Banelings at this point. No new Mutalisks in production. He's trying to make more spine crawlers now, but they really don't do that much against siege tanks on the low ground. Marines being dropped up on the high ground now into the natural once again, and the siege tanks are just free to destroy whatever they can see. A new queen pops out just in time to be shot by that siege tank once again. He wanders a little bit too close to the edge there and loses that queen. Good drop micro there from MVP, and SlayerS Cella with the symbol. I take that to mean GG, of course. And MVP is going to take game 1 in this best of 5 series for the GSPA. Let's go into game 2 now and see if Cella is going to be able to fight his way back.